So this video is just looking a little bit about variables and data types. So a variable is a reference in memory where we can store information. It's a bit like having a box and you store the information in the box, you put a label on the front of it that tells you what's stored in the box. And that's what the similar principle with a variable name. So you can put something inside it, and when you want it, you open up the box and take it out. So you can call what's stored in your variable. And if you want to change it, you can just change it. And it's not used until you actually open the box or call the variable. So I'm going to try and get the reading speed of a book. So I want to store the name of the book. I want to store how many pages it has, and also how many, how long it takes me to read it. And we'll see what we can do to format that. So I'm going to create a variable called book, and I'm going to say equals to say I want to assign some information to this and data to it. And I'm going to call a book Angels and Demons. And because this is a string or text, it goes in speech marks. So number of pages, a sensible name would be num pages. The equals to say how many pages I'm adding onto it. And I'm adding 750. And because this is an integer or a number, I don't have the speech marks. So if I say how long it took me to read it, time in mins, and again the equals, and let's say it took me 498 minutes to read it. So to find out my speed, I can create another variable called speed equals, and I can call using the variable names. So I want to divide the number of pages by the time in minutes. So instead of knowing what's in there, 750 or 498, I can just put in there num pages divided by time in mins. And if I print the speed and run that, you can see it took me 1.506024 to read this book. So a nice little feature in Python is to use the little round feature, round function. And I can tell it to round it how many decimal places I want. I'm going to round it to 2 decimal places. And if I click on my run, oh, sorry, I forgot a bracket at the end. And so now it's done it in a much better figure for me, 1.51. If I want to print that to make it look a little bit more sensible, I can actually say, put it into a decent sentence. So I can say, my favorite book is, put a comma to separate it, and I can go and say, I've got a variable called book and I want you to find what's stored in it. So go off and find the variable called book. And then in text, I'm going to put, it has, how many pages does it have? Num pages. So let's run that. Let's see how that looks. So my favorite book is Angels and Demons. It has 750 pages. So I could change this if I wanted to say it is 150 pages long, and run it, and again. So it's really easy to manipulate this information. If I want to change it from 750, I can make it 758 and run it. And it will just go and find the latest information that's stored in the variable, and it will carry that forward. So I can update it and change it how I like, put it together. I am just using information, commas, to separate where I'm using strings and where I'm using the variable itself. So that's a really nice way of actually showing how you can store the information. What if I want to get the information from the user? What if I want to ask somebody what their favorite book is? So here I can say book is, and I want input. What is your favorite book? And now when I run this, it will ask me, what is your favorite book? Angels and Demons. and it will carry on and it will do the whole rest of the information and do the programming exactly the same way, but now it's asking the user for their information. If I want to do the same for number of pages, again, I can get rid of the 758, but this time it's an integer input, so it's an int input. How many pages does it have? And if I run that, which is your favourite book, how many pages does it have? 750. And again, it uses that new information. So time in minutes, I'm going to assume minutes and seconds. So I am now going to ask it for a float input. Float is just another name for a decimal number. How many minutes and seconds did it take to read? And so time in mins. So now I need to change the name of this as well. So angels, demons. How many pages does it have? 750. If I make a mistake here and I type in angels and demons again, it's going to give me an error, because what I've said here is I've created a variable called time in minutes and seconds, and I've told it to expect a decimal number. And because I put in a string, it went, don't know what you mean. So that's, with Python, it's very important we use the right data type and we think about the data that the user might put in and make sure that we set up the data type accordingly. So hopefully that's been a good little introduction to data types.